Welcome to Kambani Zambia TV, your home for fearless investigative journalism, bold analysis, and untold stories from Africa and around the world. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button, tap the like, and share this video to spread the truth far and wide. We dig deeper, ask the hard questions, and uncover what others won't. This is more than news. It's journalism that holds power to account. Let's get started. Disclaimer. The content in this video is based on publicly available reports, statements, and allegations. These claims remain unverified, and we do not endorse or confirm their accuracy. This video is intended for informational and discussion purposes only.
You know, when a former head of state dies under mysterious circumstances, the story usually explodes with politics. But the investigation into the death of Edgar Lungu, well, it's different. This is a story not really about political rivals, but about legal procedure. And believe me, it's that procedure that holds all the secrets. Right? You can just throw out the usual playbook of accusations, flying back and forth, and all that media speculation. Instead, what we're seeing is an investigation being guided by a really strict legal framework, a process that, it values evidence over opinion and procedure over politics. And that, right there, is the central puzzle we're going to unpack today. The very first official move wasn't aimed at political enemies, but at the Lungu family itself. To understand why, we've got to set aside all the political drama and really focus on how the legal system is supposed to work. Okay, so let's jump right in where the official inquiry did, with those subpoenas. This was the moment that really got everyone's attention and shifted the whole narrative from just, rumors and speculation to a formal legal process. So to get our bearings, here's a quick timeline. First, the former president passes away in a South African hospital. Then, a few months go by, and suddenly these really serious allegations about the nature of his death start to surface. And that leads us to early 2026, when the South African Police Service officially summons his family members to give statements. And this is absolutely crucial to understand what these subpoenas were not. They weren't accusations, okay? No charges were filed, no one was arrested. This was simply a signal, and a really clear one, that this whole thing had moved beyond political debate and was now officially in the hands of criminal procedure. And that leads us right into the legal playbook, because to really get what's happening here, we need to understand the system itself, the established rulebook that law enforcement has to follow when they're faced with a situation like this. So let's talk about this core concept, criminal procedure. This isn't just a set of handy guidelines. It's a mandatory process. It's there to make sure every single action is lawful and consistent, and that it protects individual rights while, methodically searching for the truth. So when allegations of an unnatural death pop up, especially when it involves a major public figure, the law demands a formal investigation. This process means they have to collect statements and, critically, they have to preserve the integrity of any forensic evidence. And look, these steps aren't optional, they are required. So this gets us right back to that big question we asked at the start. Why begin with a family? Well, in pretty much any investigation like this, the people closest to the deceased are considered primary sources. They hold the keys to building a timeline, understanding medical history, and figuring out who had access. They're being interviewed for information, not necessarily because they're seen as suspects. And the number itself, it tells a story. 5 subpoenas. See, this wasn't about targeting just one person. It was about casting a wide net to establish the scope of the inquiry. It's a sign that this is a thorough, methodical process, not some rush to judgment or a presumption of blame. But of course, an investigation this big doesn't just happen in a bubble, right? It creates intense pressure. But that pressure is felt very, very differently in the two countries at the heart of this story. In Zambia, the inquiry just poured fuel on the fire of political polarization. It was framed as either a cover-up on one side or a political witch hunt on the other. But in South Africa, the pressure was completely different. For them, this was all about their own institutional credibility. Failing to properly investigate a death like this on their soil, that would raise some fundamental questions about their own rule of law. And all of this brings us to where we are right now, stuck in this fascinating, kind of rare legal standoff that has brought the forensic side of the investigation to a grinding halt. So what kicked this all off? Well, it was a pretty straightforward request from the police. In order to do their job and get to the bottom of these allegations, they needed to conduct more forensic tests on the body. But that request, well, it was met with resistance. And here is the core of the impasse. You've got the police on one side arguing they need forensic access to do their mandatory duty, But on the other side, the family maintains that existing court orders actually prevent them from granting that access. So you have both sides claiming to be following the law, and the result is a complete standstill. So where does that leave us? Well, basically with justice on hold and a very long list of unanswered questions. You see, the legal process is designed to be careful, which, let's be honest, often means it's also slow. If you look at the official record right now, well, it's pretty much blank. There has been no public toxicology report, there's no officially confirmed cause of death, and no suspects have been formally named. Essentially, everything is still a huge open question. And this really gets to the very heart of the matter. That frustration we might feel with how long this is all taking, it's actually a feature of the system, not a flaw. The law moves slowly and very deliberately by design, because that is exactly how it protects both the search for truth and the rights of every single person involved. At the end of the day, the resolution to this case isn't going to be found in political statements or what people are shouting about online. It will be determined by just two things: the decisions made by the courts and the hard, verifiable forensic evidence that can actually withstand scrutiny. And that leaves us with the one question that just hangs over everything. It's a question that isn't about blame, but it's about the process itself. After all this time, with all these procedures in motion, why is the most fundamental truth, the official cause of death, still unknown? The answer, it seems, lies not in who we believe, but in whether we trust the system to do its job.